Hey everyone, you're listening to Athletes Beyond the Mind, a sports psychology and mental training podcast. Athletes Beyond the Mind is brought to you by Close the Gate Hoops and Close the Gate Hoops Mindset. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of Athletes Behind the Mind, mental training and sports psychology podcast. This week, it's November 20th, and that means Thanksgiving is coming up. And that also means in the next month and a half, there's a lot of holidays coming up. And holidays covering many religions, many practices, many things like that. It's a busy time. End of the year, busy time of the year. And for some, holidays are a great time. For others, it can be really stressful. And either way, when a lot of big events are happening, it can lead to a lack of focus, which we've talked about focus before. If you're not focusing on the moment, you're going to have more mistakes, and it's going to be less likely that you succeed in what you're trying to do. So this week, I really wanted to talk about how mental training is affected by holidays, how they kind of go hand in hand, and what you can do when you're not really getting the same break as the rest of your peers. For example, a lot of winter sports in colleges, you get, sometimes not even, but you get Thanksgiving off and that's it. You're practicing the Wednesday before, you're practicing or having competitions that Friday, Saturday. You don't really get a break like the rest of your peers do. And it can be exhausting. And like we talked about in the burnout episode, that's when you really have to focus on your self-care. And if you're getting the added stress of the holidays are a stressful bad time for you, that just makes it even harder for you to focus on what you need to do. And so I just really wanted to use this episode to talk a little bit about how mental training is affected and what you can kind of do to help push through, whether it's a bad time of the year for you or a good time of the year, if you're a huge holiday person or if holidays just cause you stress, what you can kind of do with your mental training. The big thing is focus on what you need to focus on. Especially if the holidays and this time of the year, whatever holidays you celebrate, are a stressful time for you, whether that's money, family, traveling, or whatever it is. I just want to say, first of all, that we notice that the holidays for some people are a magical time of the year. For others, it can be really stressful. So first of all, just accepting that it's stressful for you, even though that could be a different experience for your friends, your teammates, or anything else. It's okay. Not everyone has to experience the same thing. And also, it's okay to admit, like, this time of year is not good for me. Like, whatever the reason may be, it's okay to admit that and know who you can trust that you can tell them that. If it's your best friend, if it's your coach, to just say, hey, I know this is going to be a tough time of the year for me. I just want to let you know so we're on the same page. And also that kind of connects to our episode last week of burnout. If you know this is going to be a stressful time for you, letting people know about it to help avoid that stress interfering with your performance or interfering with your daily functioning, because that's not fair to you that it's a tough time of the year that now other things are being affected. So if they know that, they can help in areas that you need it. If you know it's stressful money-wise, maybe you can talk about other options, or if you need to pick up a few extra shifts, talking to your coach about that, things like that. Now, it also is important because if it is stressful, it's going to be wearing you out even more because your brain's it's going to be firing all those signals off about stress, and where you're holding your stress, it's going to be sending signals there. So really focusing on that, taking care of yourself, those basic needs of showering, brushing your teeth, eating, drinking water, and also that stress management. You may need to figure out a way to incorporate a little bit more stress management in your day than you usually do if this is a stressful time of the year for you. And all of that is basically just going to allow you to keep doing the work you're doing. Yes, you're going to have to put a little more effort in taking care of yourself in the stress management, but that's making it so you can focus on those goals you have. You can not get burnt out from practice or competitions. You're able to avoid the isolation. You're able to talk to the people you care about and really just keep going through your day at the highest level you can versus the stress causing you to now make mistakes in whatever aspect of life, not reach the goals you had set or things like that, because holidays can be tough, especially for athletes who don't really get that full break. When people are like, yeah, you get this break, and like for you, you don't get that break. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to find time in your day to give yourself little breaks. Even if you don't get the 5 days or whatever it is, finding ways to get little breaks and increasing that. So let's say you usually spend 2 to 5 minutes on stress management. Try to do 5 to 10. Just that extra 5 minutes can be really helpful in just making you feel a little bit less stressful about the holidays. And again, talking to those people who care about you, letting them know how it affects you so that they can help, so they can counteract the negative aspect of it or the stress of it and help you get through it at the best of your ability and to make sure you're still taking care of yourself. Moreover, a lot of times with mental training and the holidays, like there's so many other things going on, including like finals. So it's okay if there's certain aspects you need to put on the back burner. If like you were supposed to be setting goals or doing certain things, it's okay to say, hey, that's going to go in the back seat because I need to focus on this family tradition, or I have 4 finals that I need to study for, so that's going to be put on the back burner. Even if it's like journaling, like let's say you were meeting one-on-one with someone, a mental training coach, and they said, you're supposed to be journaling every day. And you're like, well, all my assignments picked up. I have 3 different meals I have to go to for Thanksgiving. We always do Black Friday shopping. Maybe you celebrate Hanukkah, like that's a longer time frame of a tradition, things like that. Like talking to your coach and being like, hey, this is what's going on. I won't have time to do the journaling every day because I have these other things. It doesn't mean it's not important to you. It just means you have other things going on. And when you can, you're going to put it back at the front of your plate. Or for example, or going off of that example with journaling, instead of maybe writing down, you're going to focus more on movement journaling. Things you can do inside your head and just really think about it instead of writing it down. So maybe just adapting a bit. So mental training just needs to be adapted during the holidays, whether it's good stress or bad stress, it's impacted, and that's okay. And knowing that and accepting that, like I always say, even like with mistakes, knowing that your focus could be pulled, how can you bring your focus back to the moment that you're in? So if you're thinking about all the gifts you have to buy, or you're like, oh, I was supposed to make this meal, this like part of the meal for Thanksgiving, or I have to figure out how I'm going to get home when it's going to be snowing, things like that. Remembering what brings you back to focus, what is distracting you, how to bring yourself back to focus, and using those stress management techniques a little bit more often to ensure that you are getting your daily functioning things taken care of, that you're still taking care of yourself, and that you're focusing on what's important to you and focusing on things so that you don't get hurt as well. So if you're distracted in practice, like not allowing yourself to be so distracted that now it's going to lead to a dangerous situation. So that was just a short little bit about mental training the holidays. With Thanksgiving coming up, I know I already missed some holidays in November, but there's a lot more coming up. I don't remember what the exact number is, but there's a ton of holidays between now and the end of the year, even the first of the year, I guess, technically. So make sure you're taking care of yourself and really share what you need to, because it's okay to take a little bit of a backseat on certain aspects and to make sure you're taking care of yourself, you're focusing on what you need to, because that's what really matters. It's not about anything else. So yeah, mental training can be affected during the holidays, and that's okay. Just make sure you keep an open line of communication with whoever you're working with. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope that you all get a break during this Thanksgiving break if you have one, or just find some time for me. If use that as my holiday gift of just really taking care of yourself, finding moments in your day to take care of yourself. I would really appreciate it, and your own body and your own mind will appreciate it as well. So thank you for listening. Please follow us on all social medias and reach out if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts about podcast topics, blog topics, general questions, or any concerns. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you all for listening to Athletes Beyond the Mind, a mental skills and sports psychology podcast. Please follow us on all social media at CTG Mindset.